Hey folks, Sean here, and in this episode I want to talk to you about how to evaluate the competition when it comes to building B2B SaaS products. Now, this is something that us as founders, we probably obsess over. However, the first thing that I'll say is it's often us that know a lot more about our competition than our prospective customer does. So the first thing I want to say is you shouldn't obsess over this. As in, if you find someone who's built a feature you don't have, or there's a product out there that's a little bit ahead of where you are, those things largely don't matter in the grand scheme of things. But people like us have a tendency to obsess over them, so the first thing I want to share with you is you shouldn't. However, having said that, when it comes to evaluating them, the good news about one of the additional advantages, I should say, of building a low-touch B2B SaaS product is that it often comes with a free trial or a way to experience the product. And this is something that you don't have the opportunity to do if you're not building a low-touch product. For example, if you're building a complex one, like a Salesforce, it's much more difficult to figure out how to get experience with a product like that because there's so many barriers to entry. They have them in place because it's just difficult to figure out how to use those products. They're so complex. But from our perspective, if we actually wanted to gain some experience with them, it's hard to do because we have to jump through a lot of hoops. But this is the advantage of the low-touch product. The low-touch product is something that you can get relatively easy access to. As such, you can experience it for yourself. So that's exactly what I'd recommend that you do. Now, after you've identified the problem you want to solve for the target market in which you want to do business, you have to figure out how you are going to solve that problem. That's going to become your product. I'm sure you have a workflow in mind. You've got a vision for that. One of the things I'd encourage you to do before that, in fact, I'd encourage you to do this before, during, and after you build and launch your product. I would keep track of who's gaining traction where in your market in terms of what might be able to be considered as competition for your product or what it is that you're building. Figure out what those products are and give them a shot. Right? Go to those products, sign up with an account, test them out, see what you like. In particular, see what you don't like. Those things that you don't like, those are areas of opportunity to improve workflow. Simplify the experience, make it better. Those are all things that your product should capitalize on. In addition to that, you can get inspiration for other ideas you might want to explore. Maybe there's something you were thinking about building, but you really weren't sure. You see it in some of these other products. As such, that's a fairly decent indication that it may be in use, but that you can also evaluate how they've solved that problem. How have they brought that feature or that product to market? That's helpful as well too. So I love experiencing the existing products that are on the market when I have a problem to solve, or there's a product that I want to build around solving a particular problem. It gives me a ton of inspiration and helps me understand what the pros, cons are for the existing products on the market. There's so much more you can evaluate too, like the pricing model. How does it work? I've been doing this process more recently with regard to a copywriting SEO tool that I want to build. I've been evaluating a bunch of different products, and I'm going to create some videos that go into greater detail about what I like and what I don't like about the features and functionality in terms of what I've used so far. And that'll give you a more detailed version of how I go through this process so you can do it yourself as well too. But I learned so much. By far, I think the best thing that I learn is I get to evaluate the results. What type of results is it producing? That gives me a benchmark for how my product should perform, as well as which features and functionality they have included in their product. What do I want to include, or what do I want to remove? And then what experience do I want to go for? A lot of these products these days, especially the low-touch ones, they really do not do a good job of keeping the experience simple. They give you way too many options, like too many buttons to click. I get into these products and I'm like, I look like I'm launching rockets to the moon. I have so many buttons. It's just like, what am I supposed to be doing with this? In most instances, you want to stick to a primary workflow as much as possible. You can have other ones, but the further you go away from the primary workflow or the more options you provide, the more confusing it's actually going to become for most people. So that gives you some usability issues. So there's so much to dive into here, but one of the advantages of building a low-touch product is you can go in and you can explore a lot of the existing products on the market. And you should do this ideally before, so that should give you some inspiration. You do this during, so you can map out where the direction that they're going, and you can compare that to the direction that you're going. And you can do it after you've launched your product as well also, because that allows you to keep track of the direction they're going, the roadmap, how they're positioning the product, how they're pricing the product. There's just so much you can learn, and it will help you further differentiate yours, which will make yours that much more successful.